I've been going deep down the rabbit hole of AI since the whole chat thing came up, right? Started Power Agent Academy. Obviously, the agent is AI powered, right? Because the AI is not going to replace you, but the agent using it will. Now, what does that mean? AI is only as good as the person using it, right? Microsoft Excel has thousands of features you never use, right? But the person that knows how to really make Microsoft Excel fun gets paid more because they're getting more results. AI is just a tool. So who am I? Why should you listen? A couple little things about me. I really like brag, so I'll skip that one. Started a real estate university at one point. I've got all of this online. It's a course you can take. Developed another course called the 200K Marketing Machine. But really started seeing AI is where it is right now, right? Because you can learn door knocking and FISBOs and expires from 1,000 different people. There's someone going on homes, 1,000 homes a year, whatever it is, right? Pick your person, pick your personality. They're all going to be teaching basically the same stuff. What AI is doing is allowing you to do that faster, better, cheaper, more efficiently, right? So I don't care if you're listening to Bikini, Tim Paris, Tom Ferry. If you're using it, if you're doing it faster, better, cheaper, you can make more human connections, right? So the future of business is here, and it's powered by AI. You can pretend it's not happening. That's one possibility, right? You just put your head in the sand. You can get scared. Robots are taking over. That's not fair. I'm going to take my job. Right? Or you can actually just get to work, learn the tool, learn how to make your job better, easier, and make more human connections so you can have more clients. And ultimately, we're here to sell more homes. So this is, I like this little olive one. The black is people talking about AI. The green is people using AI. Red's actually applying it to their roles. And blue is actually making money. Right? So we think because we're in a room with people who are all raised their hand for ChatGPT that everybody's using it. Well, that's not the case, right? And then these two little ones, if you think, like, oh, I'm too late in my career to use this, you're actually at an advantage. Because people early in their career are kind of doing cheap tricks with it, right? People mid to late career are actually solving real problems. And as the tools get better, and as you get better at using the tools, you can flatten that curve and solve more real problems by applying with experience, right? Because if you're brand new, you don't know what a good listing description is. So you can't write good prompts, or you can't know what to steal to coach ChatGPT to make good prompts, right? But if you're later in your career and you actually know a consumer, you know a home buyer, you know a home seller, you can put in more information and get better results. So what does AI powered mean? When you become a power agent, it's people times the process equals results. And we get into this in more slides in another presentation. But one way independent brokers and broker owners are using this as team leads is, what if I need a job description? What if I need standard operating procedures? How can I get better at something if I'm not measuring it? Well, I can't measure it if I don't know what you're supposed to be doing. Right? So you can use ChatGPT and AI to develop your people, to write your processes so you can get more measurable results, ultimately leading to increased revenue and boosting cash flow, which is the two things owners really think about most. So what I want you to do is just keep ChatGPT open when you're working. Use it as a sidekick for everything. You have to write an apology to your wife. I should have thrown a couple of lines into ChatGPT yesterday. I'll tell you what. So I got chewed out for the way I said it, but if I maybe regulated my speech a little bit better, I could have had some better. Use it in unconventional ways, right? Hey, I'm about to do this. How could ChatGPT maybe help me do that, right? How do I write better prompts to get better protocols? And programs comes later. None of us are in the programming era right now. But protocols are when you stack a bunch of prompts up together, right? So when you're actually building something to be a repeatable process, that's where you get protocols. But just saying, ChatGPT, help me write a listing description. What do you need to know? So your role is more important than learning any of these tools. We've learned a lot of tools. I'm going to present a lot more. But learning those tools specifically is not as important as understanding your role and how you can leverage those tools. So when you're using ChatGPT, unfortunately we've all had it open here before, but it's chat.openai.com. Use 3.5 to research because of its speed. This is kind of the lightweight speed game, right? You're just kind of cooking a bucket and you want to get stuff done. Four, which is a paid version, allows you to do more things. It's a little more educated, a little bit more discerning. And then you can also, it says reasoning better, conciseness is better, but speed's a little slow. But guess what? It's still wicked fast. Right? I spent in one weekend, I took 100 books that I wanted to read. And I was like, how do I find a tipping point to real estate in my day-to-day? What can I pull from that? So I asked ChatGPT, the tipping point. Can you summarize it and apply, can you give me 5 bullet points on how I can apply the tipping point to my daily life as a real estate agent?
That's amazing.
So in 3 hours, I created a 100-book library that not even you can have. I sell that to other people, but you guys are here so you can have it. But there's a 100-book library on how to apply atomic habits or think and grow rich to real estate. And it gives me action steps. Why? Because I asked it for action steps. But I did that with ChatGPT 4, not with 3.5, because I wanted better reasoning. So this is just a little bit about what's new in 4. This will be in the slides, so I won't go into it. But 400 plugins, using it with Bing, those are huge. Plugins are something I didn't learn about for a while. But when you're using 4 and you go to the plugin store, you can get access to like 400 different plugins. One of them I like, for example, is Prompt Perfect. So now when I go into ChatGPT 4 and I put in plugins and they say put in Prompt Perfect, I start my prompt by saying perfect. Da-da-da-da-da. Now it rewrites my prompt as it should have been written, but I'm not smart enough to write it that way because I haven't used AI long enough. So there's a plugin that'll rewrite my prompt and say what I wanted to say to get AI to give me what I wanted to hear. It's crazy. So these are a couple of chat plugins that will be in the slides, some useful extensions. So some other plugins like ChatGPT for Google, with ChatGPT Writer, and what those do for you. Prompt Genius works a lot like Prompt Perfect. This YouTube and article summary is kind of like the VIO we were just talking about. But it will sit right there on the side and give you a summary. Really cool. Oh, Engage AI on LinkedIn. Right? You want to start surfing LinkedIn and find HR directors. You want to find people like you just read in the DBJ, someone's moving to Denver. You want to learn a little bit about that company? Check out Engage AI. Pretty good stuff. So I'm not going to go too deep into the prompts. We've got a lot of slides on it, but we're running a little long time. But a prompt is what you tell or ask AI. They input, usually in the form of a prompt or a question. This kind of goes over some of the basics of how to use it. Some examples of how you can prompt for marketers, like, hey, write a product description, or suggest inexpensive ways to promote my company without using social media. Different ways you can structure your prompts. And you're too small to read on the TV, look at it in the slides. But also the tone, right? So writing with tone when you're doing email, for example, you want to be professional, instructional, reassuring, inspirational. If you're doing an email to your database, what tone? You want it to be friendly, enthusiastic, like, hey, if I'm promoting that I'm going to buy tickets, like last year I did Top Gun Maverick. And I sent it out to my entire database, like, hey, we're going to go to Top Gun Maverick on me, drinks, food, movies, whatever. I just love you. I appreciate you. I haven't seen you since the start of COVID. I want to see you. Well, if I've been able to say enthusiastic and friendly, ChatGPT write this email for me, I might even get more people to come, right? Rather than me just kind of.
Can you mix them?
What?
Can you mix them?
Can you mix them? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can say if I'm friendly, enthusiastic, right? So if you go back to here, you can stack all of these different elements of a prompt together, which include the tone. And then some of the commands, right? Act as a professional copywriter. Brainstorm 5 different ways to do this for me, right? Because you might be stuck on, like, how do I reach this person? How do I communicate with them better? And you can stack some of these commands together with the tone. You're going to get this in the slides as well, but you can act as a chief financial officer, act as a best-selling author, create an email sequence with rich text that writes using basic English, right? And you can stack all these things together. A lot of these, it's funny, you'll see people selling these for like $30 marked down to $1 or something like that online. You can just get this from ChatGPT. You just say, hey, can you give me a 5-column table of prompts I could use as real estate agents to write email newsletters? They'll just give it to you. So don't pay for any of that stuff. I'm making a lot of people mad at this. All right. I did steal this one from someone else, though. This little create formula, character request examples, adjust type of output and extras. I thought that was a really clever way of kind of an acronym of trying to remember how to do your prompt engineering. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, you're probably, this guy is just shy of hitting your goal with AI. So just use it as your sidekick. Use it for everything. Because you will get to the finish line. You will start having breakthroughs. You will start being able to communicate better, resonate with more people, and have more human connections. There's nothing until you hit that goal. This is the book I wrote in a couple of hours. That was fun too. So I was just experiment. I wanted to write a book this year, right? And so I wrote a book. And I first coached it on who I wanted it to pull from, right? Who are the lead? Well, actually, I asked it, who are the leaders in the space? What are people reading? Who are the coaches they pay attention to? What books are they reading? And then using that as my database, I wrote this, I think it was like a 25 chapter book. I had it write the table of contents. I had it write all the chapters. I had it fully cited so that I'm not plagiarizing anybody, right? So if I'm quoting Tim and Julie Harris or Tom Ferry or Brian Bikini or any of the other coaches, they're all fully cited. It tells the book. And I just sat there drinking a beer watching it write. But then I went to Canva, created the cover. I had AI and designer create the 3D mock-ups. It was a lot of fun. But if you want to look more professional, I know there are companies out there. I'm actually going to be featured in a magazine of one of them. Sorry, guys, where they sell you books, right, for FSBOs and expires, where you can just give the books away, right, and look like an authority. Well, it looks like an authority in 2 hours for free. That's pretty sweet. Right? So if you walk in, if you get that professionally printed somewhere, you walk in and oh, here's my book. Selling a house at 4500 Foley Street. Here's my book on that. What? That's my address. That's kind of creepy. But you could if you wanted to, right? Like you're really going after. How do you sell multi-million-dollar homes in Cherry Hills Village? Well, I wrote the book on that. Right? Just kind of really. So a little laugh break, you attract what you fear. God, I'm so scared. 7 listings with 7 cash buyers, double signing them. Scared. So little laugh break. So practice using these 2 prompts and come back to them always. You take no other, just print the slide out, print it by your desk, have it sitting there. Hey, can you help me? And what additional questions would help you do this more effectively? Because you don't know what you don't know. But ChatGPT does, because it knows the entire internet and everything that everybody's ever written on it. So what do I need to know? Right? So when I was writing a luxury book, I said, well, what else do I need to know about pain points of $1 million seller? What else do I need to know about their aspirations, their goals, their struggles? Right? And then how do I market to that? How do I resolve that pain? What additional questions would help you answer this more effectively? Well, do I know some of this from 22 years of experience as a realtor? Yes. Do I really want to sit down and write for 2 weeks? No. So did this give me a starting point so that, to your point, I can revise? Absolutely. And then it's your personal revisions on top of the copy that's in there that make the book your own, that make your language pop, that actually put your knowledge in there. So I developed a 9 kind of step course around this. I'm going to go through some of it right now. But I said, what are all the elements and we're going to cover all the content briefly on this 9 slides. So I'm not selling you anything right now. There's not even a code by me. But so how can you apply AI to the different aspects of a realtor's job to make that job more effective? In CRM, ads, social media, videos, communication, domains, building websites, blogs, your listings, and your seller strategy. Rather than look at real estate from the traditional way that I had before, where it's like, hey, I'm going to go from prospecting to done, what are the tasks that I do throughout the day that if I could do them more efficiently, better, more powerfully, it would allow me to become a better agent? So again, we kind of talked about these are the people that get lost you can do in prompting guides. You can get totally lost in prompting guides, right? And fortunately, you'll get all this, but these are just kind of a couple of tools to pull out. I give all that to people in the course, but let's go into like the CRM transformer, for example. So we clean up the CRM, we create contact campaigns, and we grow our base with AI. Well, how do you do that? Because usually people are overwhelmed by technology, they're burnt out, and they don't know what to say. So one example is like I use this company for my lead generation, and every agent in my firm gets to use it for free, is you can search listings and it builds up a profile on the person. Sorry, I was up until 2:30 creating these slides. I'm a little sleep deprived. But so it watches somebody and how they're moving around your site, right? Because everybody has Chime or KV Core or whatever else it is, right? That you're using. There are a lot of really, really great IDF sites out there. But this one, because it's using AI, is responsive to the way they're searching, which is really, really cool. This AI. This is how I first got to know AI a couple of years ago by watching this, because it'll start interacting with you too. So it's been chatting with my client for days before I ever see that they raise their hand and say, "Yeah, I'd like to see that property." Right? So how many of you would rather get the call, "Yeah, I'd like to see the property," and jump into the chat at that point, rather than all of the other precursor texts that go like, "Oh, God, really? Seriously?" Like, and screening 1 out of 100 or 2 out of 100 to try to find that. This weeds out the 95 bad leads, right, and finds the good ones for you to talk to. So this is really, really cool stuff. Ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, really hard to know what to write, right? How do you find a high converting ad? You can hire Grant Wise at Whitney, you can do something like that. You can hire all these other companies that do amazing things. But like this company, for example, if I'm searching for a 400K house in Aurora and I switch to a 500K house in Arvada, in Facebook, the feed dynamically changes to active listings in the new territory and new price. That's kind of crazy stuff, right? So you can be in there like posting your usual, "Hey, I've got a $500,000 home list for Denver," and that's static, and you're trying to like engage them. Or the house that they just looked at 30 minutes ago on their computer pops up in their feed, and now they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's the house I just saw," right? You ever like looked at a pair of shoes or looked at the car online, and all of a sudden that car and the shoes are everywhere? It's the same kind of thing. AI allows you to do that. And then you can also just type in what even if you type poorly, what's one app that no one's ever thought of, right? Get AI to get crazy on it. So social media maestro, you can do it as AI for ad generation, for idea generation, content creation in seconds. You can automate 30 days worth of content in under 2 hours. How do you post that? You get on something like Hootsuite or Sprout Social. Once you have all your content, these sites or anything else, and they're not making money from any of this, and just like them, you can post all your content for the next 30 days, scheduled to go out at optimum times, and walk away. So you batch create using prompts for marketers. Some of the prompt finding right there. You batch create, just like you batch create videos, you batch create your social media content. You say, "This is the message I want to get across." What message? ChatGPT. What's that 30-day calendar look like for? It'll give you, "Hey, how about the ideas for that?" And all of a sudden, you have the ideas, the titles, the emojis, the content. You throw it into Hootsuite or Sprout Social, hit post, and you walk away, you go on vacation, and social media is happening in the background. Videos. We talked a little bit about this. This is one of my favorite things. So we'll dive into this a little bit. But you can generate and identify the best ideas like we talked about earlier, right? So AI will tell you like what's being searched on Google right now, what's hot on YouTube. You can create the titles, the scripts, to do 2-week videos. So the best way to do video, just pull out your phone and do one. But the second good way is to just set aside, 2 hours on a Saturday, 2 hours on a Sunday, some slow time. I found that Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., no one's really asking for me for real estate. So 2 to 4, just set aside a little batch creation time and sit down there, read your scripts, get your teleprompter app out, right? Go through a few things, throw it into the script, throw it into Opus Pro. We're going to go with a few of those. And wham, you've pulled out all your content, throw it into Hootsuite from Sprout Social. That will post automatically for you. You walk away, and your entire week's videos are done. Now, what's the point of that? A, you're in front of more people looking like authority because you're trying to find more people to do business with. B, now you're not doing creative wasted time, right? This is a whole big creative like avoidance thing for actually doing real work. Right? So don't creatively avoid doing real work, which is picking up the phone and calling people. But this gives you your time back, but also allows you to be the video person that everybody's saying you're supposed to be right now. So I'm going to blow through these slides. You're going to go them all. But some of the video tools out there, the script, Focus Clip, this one's super cool. Like all the tools that you do in here, like the virality score, it'll stay your so it'll, if you put in an hour, 45 seconds, say this one, 97%, right? Then it'll auto caption for you. It'll use speakers. So if you have two speakers at the stack, it'll speaker follow one up, two up, and say whether it's going to be vertical or not. So active speaker detection, keyword highlighter, emoji generator, really just to boost engagement. So that more people find the victory. Synthesia, this one's wild. This one will like create talk for you in your voice, not in your voice, but talk to you. Agent, brain, these are all going to be kind of go through these the ones you like to use. I don't know any of them. Synthesia is a crazy one. You got to back on this one someday. And I would say, in video, VIO, that could have it in there. So we go through all these. These are just like all AI tools, but these are like the top 11, right? Top 12, 13, whatever it is. But again, like 140 available languages. It's insane, right? So in my company, for example, we're in 24 countries. I can't do a recruiting video in India because I can't speak the language, or in France because I can't speak the language. But what if I took all of my agent attraction videos in the United States, translated them, and sent them in French, and posted them on YouTube? I haven't tried it yet, but I could pay maybe a DA to do it, right? If I write a protocol for it. Now I have someone $4 an hour in the Philippines or $5 an hour in Brazil following my protocol, taking out videos of me speaking French. That's kind of fun. Play with as an idea. And again, creative points. So communication. So again, we're talking about like creating email campaigns, custom marketing materials, improving day-to-day communication. Email campaigns. I remember, like even just 3-4 years ago, seeing ads from a famous Century 21 broker where I could pay $500 to $1,500 to get his email drip sequence. This is a proven, tested, tried, 10% to 10,000 people a month email sequence. Well, I can just now find language that I like, use ChatGPT, prompt it to talk like I want it to write, and find effective language, and create my own 27, email drip campaign to throw into my my CRM, right? My KB Core, my whatever I'm using, Command or whatever your program is. But you can also tailor it. Did they come in from Zillow? Did they come in from Realtor? Did they come in from an open house? And now all of a sudden, rather than sitting there and trying to figure out what to type to somebody 27 times, you say, hey, here's where they came in from. Here are their pain points, here are their struggles, here are their goals and aspirations. Here's how I met them. Here's what I'm trying to do. Can you write a 27 email sequence and appropriately space the days for me? Give me email subject lines and calls to action to this, and that. And it'll just kick out the entire email sequence for you. Customized to the source of how you met the person. This is a 9-day email campaign prompt that I borrowed from somebody else. That slide on all the different ways you can go through. The one-page domain dominator. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on websites because one time I was on an airplane, and this was back in 2000 or 1990, somewhere. And it said that one guy on like half the internet. And this was when long tails really mattered in SEO. And so I just started buying websites. So this looks like fun. And then I had to learn code in Drupal. It wasn't like a website where you could like actually just create a website in 10 seconds like that. So I was coding back and I was doing all this stuff. Because even then I realized that if you have the right content, and if you have SEO properly, if you put it up there frequently enough, you will be found organically. But why doesn't it happen? No one ever spends the time because it's a lot of time. You're not an SEO expert. You're not an H2, H1 structuring expert. You're not all the stuff that goes into building a website. So you said, okay, what if you could use an SEO tool and actually SEO your whole website, right? And put in everything that needs to be done in there. What if you could write article after article after article and have it posting daily, so Google sees that you're posting relevant content daily. How do we know it's relevant? We ask ChatGPT what's relevant, right? So you can create the websites, and so on this one, just for fun, I have a website Copy in Denver that I've never used, Copy in Denver, and it's still not posted. But I went through the exercise and I said, here's the neighborhood, Wash Park. What are 5 good coffee shops in the area? Give me 3 reviews of customers interacting with it. Why it's a must-see coffee shop. I want the phone number, the address, and the URL, and format it in a way that's appealing for a website. The whole nine, right? And so I did that for 25 different neighborhoods. I found an article as top 25 neighborhoods in Denver. I went through the whole list, and I created a copy page for every single one of them. And now, ChatGPT will hallucinate once in a while, make up a coffee shop, so you have to actually go in and find it. And sometimes it didn't know the neighborhood, so I went into Google Maps and pulled three, and I said, no, recreate the page using these 3 or these 5. And then I went back in, and it was accurate. Right? So how do you get relevant content that people want to see in the 5 to 6 years between when they're selling homes? You put stuff that they actually want to see. How do you write a neighborhood description without going to, like, if you want to go to Wash Park, are you going to go plagiarize Lori Erb's Wash Park page? No. But now you can create content, right? So I said, hey, Wash Park is a great neighborhood. Why do people live there? What are some family-friendly activities? What are some good date restaurants? Where do we go walking? Where do you go hiking? Where do people work that live there? Whole brand new web page that I read through based off of my experience. Remember that little square chart where experience gives you better results with the tools? I read through the article and I'm like, wow, this is really accurate. And it's SEO and it might be found now. So now, like for Wash Park, that page is booming. Now, can you do all of this yourself? Sure. Or could you pay someone $4 an hour to do it once you have the standard operating procedures done? Sure. And you can do that with Loom. You can show them how you did it with Loom and send them the video, transcribe the Loom so that now they have it written as well. They can watch it, they can read it, they can know how to do it, and you can leverage your VAs more. Wild boss. Same thing, I got to the breath. So generate ideas to promote local businesses. You can do AI-centered buyer articles, seller articles, or help people to sell. So how do you do this? You can use ChatGPT and AI to help you generate ideas, do keyword research. You could go in and find the top 5 Google questions. What are people asking right now? Write the article. You can do a headline generator, and then you check the headline in the headline analyzer. You find out what is a good headline, why is it a good headline, and if it will be read. You do the check AI detector. So you throw that AI content, the copy leaks. You say, will Google recognize this as being AI? And if so, can you rewrite this section for me? Because why? Google wants original content. So you throw it into the content detector and say, hey, find all the AI language, rewrite that, or maybe that's where I step in as an experienced agent, right? And then rewrite that part. And then ask it, what's the keyword phrase for this? Write the 165 character meta description so that when it comes up in Google, people know what they're actually going to go see, and then do a headline tester. So I go into that a little bit here as how the AI works. And the step of, hey, you're a blog writing expert yourself, to write a blog post for a residential real estate agent. And here are those steps from here, broken down to how you would actually do that. And then here's, people also ask, have you ever done that in Google where you ask a question and then right below it, the first one is like, people also ask me this. And if you click on one and then if you unaccordion it and put it back up, 6 more come up. And you do that to a couple others, now you got a list of 20 things that people also ask. Well, guess how to get found on Google with your blog post? Write about these things. Answer the questions that you want to actually ask it, right? And then put it in the headline generator. You get a score of 77. Why are you getting that score? But the caution at the top is very, very real. Do not let ChatGPT hallucinate on you. Sometimes it can be a little drunk monkey, and it's going to find stuff and write stuff that makes you look a little bit foolish. So always read what you're doing, always use it as a base for what you're doing, but never just say, it came out, so I'm going to use it. The one-page listing luminary. So leveraging AI to write better content. We've all talked about listing descriptions, right? Use it for design. You can use it to share your skills and name more clients. So how do I use this? So in a listing luminary, I sometimes, like, when I first did this, like, write a listing description, and I threw all this stuff in there. Well, I haven't trained it. So ChatGPT is going to go out there and find any listing description. It can be good or bad. You have no idea. But if you go out there and find 3 or 4 really, really good ones, and I used to actually pay someone. I used to pay a copywriter for something 20 years. It's kind of bored of writing copy descriptions. and I lost my edge. Then I was starting to get 1,000,004 listings, 1,000,008 listings. I'm like, I can't lose my edge on these. So I found someone on the East Coast who was writing $20 million property description. I'm like, can you write my $1.8 million property description? Here's the video. Isn't beautiful, right? But get this, there's a tool now that will watch the video, analyze it frame by frame as if it's individual pictures. It'll pull out the materials. It knows mahogany from Brazil, from cherry, from maple. It'll pull out, it knows quartz from granite. It'll watch the video and it'll pull out a property description. Sick, right? But now you're saving money and you're doing it faster, better, cheaper, right? So you can either say, hey, train it to do that, or people are writing, remember I said prompts, protocol, and programs? People are now writing programs to go over the AI, where you can just put in, this is a luxury, mid-century modern, single-family ranch. You can put in a couple of drop-downs where it's automatically kicking in the protocols, the prompts, and then when you just toss in the bucket list of, here are my outbuildings, and here are my remodels, and here's everything else, or here's the video, you watch it yourself. I'm gonna go hang out with my kids, which is more important than this. The only reason I do this is to hang out with my kids. It'll do it for you, right? But it's only as good as you think it is. So this is that tool I was talking about, where you say style of homes, country club, neighborhood, highlight features, location features, or you can do it the way I was talking about. And then seller strategies. Kind of running out of time, so I'm going to skip through this, but you can do pre-listing packages, listing packages, you can enhance your communication and deliverables, post-closing follow-up campaigns and events, right? What are some events I can do for my clients that cost less than $100? Or, hey, how do I stay in touch with someone post-closing? Because everybody knows that realtor quote, right? That 92% say they use their agent again or something like that, but only 8% do because nobody ever stays in touch. So, hey, can you write a post-closing email campaign? And letters and postcards, what I'm supposed to do, when I'm supposed to make phone calls. And then can you throw it in my calendar so I actually know when to do this? Just makes you a better agent because we all get distracted, right? We're all distracted. There's so many thousand distractions. I could spend all night writing this presentation, or I could be serving my clients or with my kids, right? There are ways you can get distracted. You can distract yourself or life distracted. Like we all have things happen to us, health issues or just car crashes or whatever it might be. So this gives you your time back so that you can spend more time with your family, spend more time with yourself. We all neglect ourselves with self-care, right? So you can educate yourself, you can do yoga, meditation, prayer, whatever you like to do. The whole goal of AI is to give you your time back. So if you can, we've had I'd say, in the past 20 years, every tool that's been invented has been a new time suck. Social media, time suck or time give you time. Time suck, right? Video, does it give you time or time suck? Time suck. Texting, does it give you time or time suck? Time suck. Like every new technology is a time suck. Email, time suck, because now we've got more emails, we've got more videos, we've got more texts, we've got more YouTube, we've got blah. But if you can get some of your time back by structuring it, by disciplining yourself, by leveraging AI to be free cognitive labor, either to speed you up and make you that super agent, right? The power agent, as I like to call it. Makes you kind of the superhero version of you. It's all the stuff you've ever wanted to do for your clients, but this happens. This can make you that power agent. So just kind of, keep going until you hit gold. Keep those prompts next to your computer, those 2 prompts. And then I want to let you know about something coming up. This is totally free. It's online. August 23rd, Jared. My man Jared's going to be in this. I've put together some of the best AI marketing guru. Jared Larkin. So I pulled together some of the biggest names in the industry, and we're just doing a full day on AI and how to apply it to real estate. How do they apply it to real estate? Everybody's getting 45 minutes. It's going to be fun. It's going to be recorded, so if you can't make it live, still register. But these are all the leading names in AI and real estate right now. And I got them all into the same room, virtual room, on one day. So go to AIinRealEstate.com, AIinRealEstate.com, or Jared's going to send out his affiliate link, so I know that you guys came through him. It's free, so there's nothing to buy there. And then again, this is sort of the course of what I go through. Thank you. This is the slide where you can get all the slides. Hope I added a little bit of value. You guys gave me time, which is something that I could. That's the biggest gift you can give me. So hopefully I give you enough value for your time that you felt your time. And it is a ton of stuff, right? That's why, like in that 9-step program, we walk through that sort of slowly, right? Week by week, we say, hey, let's dive into blogging this week. Let's explore blogging. Let's get comfortable with blogging. Let's not go too crazy. Let's spend more time on one tool. Good? You know how to use it? Have you made it into your day? All right, cool. Hey, how about we just take one more baby step? And let's go into emails. And let's go into videos. And let's go into, so we walk you through it slowly so that you don't get overwhelmed. Because if you try to do all this in one day, your head will explode. And that's not good. You end up looking like this.